Kia ora koutou. Markie here, the grizzled walrus of retroactive jealousy. So, a question which we haven't directly addressed before in this series. How serious is retroactive jealousy as a mental health condition? Okay, I think that's a really good question to look at for lots of reasons. So, okay, well, it's very serious. Thank you for watching. Rangimarie. I think it's important to look at it in the context of OCD, that it's a form of OCD by and large. So, how serious is OCD? Well, OCD, and we've talked about this in other videos, is something that people kind of speak of very lightly, and they say things like, "Oh, I always have to stir my tea 3 times or whatever. I'm a bit OCD about this. I'm a bit OCD about that." When actually, if you've got OCD, you're not a bit OCD. OCD is a massively crippling condition, if I can use that language. It's a major condition because it has a major effect on quality of life and ability to function and well-being, and not only the well-being of the person with the OCD, but the people around them. Now, any kind of OCD presentation is going to affect people's partner and their family and people around them. But retroactive jealousy, even more so because of the nature of it. Okay, so I don't really need to kind of explain that. If you've got OCD, then retroactive jealousy, you'll kind of know. So OCD. So basically, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. The key letter in this is the D, the disorder. Okay, so everybody is a little bit obsessive at times. Everybody is a little bit compulsive at times. But not to the level of a disorder. Okay, so you're not a little bit OCD. You're either OCD or you have some degree of obsession and compulsion. It becomes a disorder when it affects your ability to function in life, or when it makes you miserable or the people around you miserable. So OCD is interesting. So if we look at just taking OCD rather than retroactive jealousy, because we know more about OCD, there's more masses of research about OCD, whereas there's nothing really about retroactive jealousy. We know it has a massive effect on people's lives and majorly. Where it sits, people don't tend to use this kind of model so much these days, but mental health used to be kind of divided between neuroses, which is the plural of neurosis, and psychoses, which is the plural of psychosis. Okay. So OCD sits with neurosis. Okay, so neurosis is a mental health issue where you have thumb creeping into the picture there. This is why I should have the camera the other way around. You see, so I'm going wrong. Okay, I shouldn't. I'm trying to be clever. So. Psychosis is where you lose touch with the reality. Neurosis is a mental health condition where you don't lose touch with reality. So psychosis includes things like schizophrenia, which isn't a split personality, and illnesses where you hallucinate and where you have delusions. The delusions being kind of ideas which are very contrary to the normal understanding of reality. Not in the sense that somebody just might have a very open belief system, or have a religious belief, or believe in conspiracy theories or aliens or anything like that. Not like that, but something much more extreme. Usually, often persecutory or something like that. So they'll think that people are trying to steal their thoughts. That's psychosis, because you lose touch with reality. Now, obsessive compulsive disorder is so extreme at its worst that it's like psychosis, because somebody's beliefs are almost delusional. Technically, they're not. And in a sense, the person with the OCD usually kind of knows that their beliefs are extreme and that their beliefs aren't kind of reflecting reality, but they're still kind of bound by them, if you like. They're still kind of tied into them. They're still unable to kind of prior to treatment, prior to starting to get well, they're unable to kind of separate the part of them that recognises that it's, you know, that it's a distortion of reality, and the part of them that just feels compelled to act out with the compulsive behaviour to make the obsession and the pain go away. So it's pretty extreme. Now, what I think I'll try and do, there's a really good video by Psychology in Seattle, which is another YouTube channel about OCD and how extreme it is. And they very strongly make the point about how OCD is not to be taken lightly, and it's not a minor condition in any sense. Okay. So therefore, cut a long story short, retroactive jealousy is very serious. Now, I'm convinced there's no evidence that I'm aware of for this, but I'm convinced that there have probably been numerous suicides. Certainly been lots of relationship breakups. But I think there's probably been numerous suicides off the back of retroactive jealousy. People probably don't put that in their suicide notes, but I suspect that you know, I kind of know really in my kind of in my boots, in my guts, that you know, that this has happened, and it's tragic and crazy. Okay, so therefore the important thing from this really is to treat it seriously. Okay, don't fuck about with it. You know, if you've got retroactive jealousy, get the right kind of help and do the right kind of things. Don't just ignore it. Don't try and bury it with drugs or alcohol, or, you know, any number of coping mechanisms that don't actually deal with the issue but kind of mask it. Get professional help. Okay, and I'm kind of just on the topic of this really. And partly why I'm recording this video at the moment is people are kind of contacting me and bringing to my attention that there's a couple of people making services available for retroactive jealousy. I've talked about one before obliquely because I need to be very careful when I'm talking about other YouTubers and people like that. So there's one channel that I talked about a little while ago where they're offering, and I talked about this in a video about there's no quick fix. So they're talking about how you can get well from retroactive jealousy in a matter of a couple of weeks. Okay. Now, what I think can happen is you can feel an awful lot better in a couple of weeks because people feel hugely better. First of all, when they realise it's not just them, that it's actually a thing, they feel massively better. You know, it's like a huge, you know, decrease in the distress and the anxiety. Then there's another big decrease in stress and anxiety when they realise that they can talk to or hear the stories of other people who've experienced it, and it kind of normalises it a little bit. It's a, you know, massive decrease in anxiety. And then you know, when they can be made aware that there is a pathway out of it, another massive decrease in anxiety and distress. But those will not be lasting in themselves. If you do no more than that, then, you know, what's going to happen is it's going to start to creep back up. And I suspect, you know, where people say that they're getting results in a very short period of time by giving people a kind of pseudo treatment that's lasting just a couple of weeks, then they're getting feedback from people of that immense relief that they're experiencing at that moment, which is all very real, but it's not lasting. So in order to kind of, if you're going to make claims to be able to help people through retroactive jealousy in a matter of weeks, then you need to do longitudinal studies. You need to follow up after a certain amount of time. Okay, so that's the one thing. The other thing is somebody else has brought to my attention that somebody is offering kind of guidance around retroactive jealousy, but very lightweight stuff, really. This is somebody that's apparently is qualified in a form of therapy, but the kind of therapy that you only you can qualify in this in about 3 months. So it doesn't make you a therapist in the proper sense of, you know, some of the studies for a number of years, has a clinical supervisor, has to do a certain amount of what they call continuing professional development every year, CPD, which is what therapists need to do. So kind of, you know, for therapists that can get registered with a professional body, which somebody that's done this kind of training could not, you know, there's a lot of requirements and hoops that they have to jump through, both in terms of initial training and ongoing training, and being able to demonstrate good practice and to have a regular supervisor, various things really. And generally speaking, with people with those qualifications, have a good, or at least a good enough understanding of mental health. So this, you know, this worries me. You know, that people are, I don't mind, you know, I mean, I'm, you know, I'm aware that, you know, we need more clinicians. We need more, you know, counsellors and psychotherapists and professionals to be offering help for retroactive jealousy, because there's a massive scarcity of it. But we need to have, you know, good people. Now there are some people as well that that I've talked about before that are not therapists, and who make that very clear, and who offer kind of programs and things based on personal experience and what they've learned and stuff like that. And they put all their cards on the table. Now, I don't have a problem with that either. I think in lots of cases that's not going to be enough, because I think retroactive jealousy often comes with other things. You know, it's going to come with other serious conditions, like depression is a very serious condition, and it's going to come with you know, personality disorders and various other issues are going to, and people are going to be, you know, they're going to have to be sort of supporting people who are feeling suicidal. So I think, you know, in lots of cases, you know, getting therapy is the thing to do. Serious condition that could kill you, get therapy. You know, if you had a heart condition, you wouldn't try and kind of treat that yourself and just kind of read a few books, get a bit of advice off the net. You know, this is kind of serious stuff. But I don't have a problem with people who are who make reasonable claims about what they can offer. You know, people that say, look, I'm not a therapist, but I'm offering something that's based on my experience, and I think you'll find it helpful. That may not be adequate, but at least it's honest. You know, that you get what's written on the tin. But what concerns me is when people kind of imply that they might be qualified in a therapy, but the therapy is not of sufficient weight to deal with some of the difficult, you know, to deal with this stuff, you know, to deal with retroactive jealousy, which is a serious condition. Okay, so what's been brought to my attention is that there's always people kind of selling snake oil for everything, including and retroactive jealousy is no different. But somebody has been around offering valid solutions. You know, kind of, they've been offering kind of, you know, good advice, but it's not good enough to get you well. Okay, so this worries me. So serious condition. Life-threatening condition. Don't mess around with it. If you've got this, even if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your partner. Get the right help. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to go and see a professional therapist or counsellor, but what I'm saying is get your advice and guidance from somebody who knows what they're talking about. And don't try and cut corners. Don't try and think, well, you know, I'll kind of try and deal with this in the cheapest and quickest way possible, because it's going to take you a while. Retroactive jealousy, you know, like I said, people can feel an awful lot better in in the early stages, but I would say 6 months to a year really before you reach a point of what I would call recovery. And I've done a video on what I call recovery, if you're wondering about that. So there's no ambiguity about what I mean by recovery. So when I get a chance, I will. I'm behind in putting links and things in the description box below the video, but I will get around to doing that. So yeah, I am all for. My goal at some point is to set up a proper professional body for clinicians who, you know, of different disciplines. So they could be psychologists, they could be psychiatrists, they could be counsellors, psychotherapists. I'm a psychotherapist. That work with retroactive jealousy to establish some quality and to also work together to cooperate for the best interest of people, patients with this, or clients, whichever way you want to look at it, so that people can actually, you know, before they see a clinician or before they watch a video and decide whether they're going to use that as the basis for their recovery, they'll have a sense of how lightweight or heavyweight that person is, really, because if they can say, look, we're registered with the International Association for Retroactive Jealousy Clinicians, then it will carry some weight. That's my goal, really. So I'm quite happy to work with other people that provide help, and I'm quite happy to work alongside people that aren't, you know, qualified clinicians, provided they're not overstepping their competency and provided they're honest about that, I don't have a problem at all. But what I do have a problem with is people offering short-term cures which are going to leave people feeling worse in the long term, or people offering very lightweight cures, not cures, lightweight techniques and suggestions for recovery that really aren't going to do it, and taking people's money from them, for the privilege of this, and again, always people are going to report kind of good results in the short term, but what's happening to these people in the longer term? It's about longer term recovery. It's not about just feeling a little bit better for a few weeks, and then feeling much worse after that, with the potential of suicide and all the serious stuff that we've talked about. So OCD is a very serious condition. Retroactive jealousy is a very serious condition. Retroactive jealousy is particularly cruel because it only strikes in good relationships. So it kind of strikes you at the heart, really. It kind of strikes you, around a relationship, around when you fall in love and you're with somebody that you love and you want to be with for the rest of your life. That's when it kind of hits you. How cruel can that be, really? And that's why I think, people, go to very dark places with retroactive jealousy. So I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any concerns about other practitioners or whatever. Let me know. One of the things that maybe I could do is give some guidance. I think I've done this actually. The video is there is a video actually which I'll try and link up, which I forget what videos I've done and what I haven't, because I've done so there's over 130 retroactive jealousy videos, all free, and some extra ones that are available for a small cost on Patreon. I say small cost, it's like $1, and that's not to access the video, that's to access everything that's on there. So yes, there is one about I think about how to find a therapist, but if you need any further guidance on that, you want some help on what kind of questions to ask, let me know. So yes, do not sit with this and ignore it. Get proper help, treat it seriously, deal with it, get it sorted. It can be sorted, and you will also, so the process of recovery is kind of, on a graph it would be kind of like this. There'd be ups and downs, but generally speaking a kind of an upward trajectory. So so even in the early stages of recovery, you're going to start feeling better in lots of ways. But the important thing is not to fall for that trick of feeling a little bit better and then give up the help. And that's where a lot of people fall foul in many ways. So serious condition, treat it seriously, treat yourself seriously, and treat your partner seriously. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Lots of other ways. Eventually we'll put in the description box of how you can sort of support us and help us get the message out about retroactive jealousy and a bunch of other things to people that don't know about it. We really appreciate your support with that. Rangimarie.